All right. Well, welcome to the original father-son voiceover podcast. Dad's there. I'm here. Joe's here for a change. And we've also got Scott Moore. So he is our special guest this week.
On the couch.
On the couch. He's a couch potato. That's what we call the people who sit there. Finally.
And Joe is here for the first time in an interview.
Yes.
And we'll get to why you're here.
Yep.
In just a couple of minutes. But we want to get to know Scott just a little bit. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. One of the things I was going to do, and I forgot, you're repping Wisconsin Heights, and we'll get to that, and you're repping Wisconsin Heights. I was going to have gear on, and then I forgot. Oh, well.
So did I. So we'll be...
You guys are the two employees of Wisconsin Heights. So tell me, Scott, a little bit about, we're going to talk a little bit about your personal life, go to professional life, talk about something exciting that's happening in the district, not only school starting, but also something big, which most people know about. So tell us, where did you grow up? Where were you born or grow up? Are you from Wisconsin originally?
I am.
You
Yep.
are, okay.
So I was born in Hudson, which is on the west, right on the border of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So that's where I was. And in sixth grade, we moved to a small town, Osceola, which is north of Hudson. And that's where I was through high school. And then, college, went to UW Stout in Menominee. And then taught in Amory for 11 years. Amory's a small town kind of by Osceola. And then... through a series of events, I'm here today. So, but grew up in...
Is Hudson, if I'm remembering this right, because our oldest son, John, went to school at Northwestern University in St. Paul. Is Hudson the last city in Wisconsin before the Mississippi?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice size village. I mean, it's bigger than I thought. I don't know how big it is, but...
Yeah, no, it's grown even since I was there.
Okay.
I mean, that was not all developed off of the highway. So it's changed a lot.
I don't want to get out too far off, but you mentioned Amory, right? They were like a long time ago in the state tournament basketball.
Okay.
And I think there was a big player that ended up going to the UW. His name, I think, was Al Rudd. Does that at all ring a bell?
It doesn't.
Not at all. I mean, it's ancient history. So it's
possible.
it's like my time. So tell us a little bit about, family life, siblings. Do you have siblings? The only child?
Yeah. So it could get involved, but I'll kind of shorthand it for you. So I have a sister, a biological sister, who's older than I am. And then we have a blended family now. And then I have then an additional sister and two brothers as a result. So there's, 5 of us all together. I'm right there in the middle, so that's... You
went from a kind of a small family to what's considered a larger family at this point. Are you're right in the middle, you say, so you've got, is your biological sister older or younger?
She is older than me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And they all live all over the place. I have a sister who lives in Minneapolis, and then I guess one who lives in Stillwater, which is the next, if you're in Hudson River, and then Stillwater's right there too. So, and then 2 siblings that are in the same town as my parents reside now. So, and then us down here.
Now, when you were in like grade school, middle school, high school, were you athletic? Were you academic? Were you music, sports? Were you kind of into motors and farming or things like that? What was your, or were you just all around,
So to majority of that, no, I wasn't athletic at all. I tried to be, but it just, and it's okay. But no, that wasn't my forte. I didn't really care about school, honestly. I was more just there because it was fun to be around people, and I have played musical instruments and things, but that didn't happen until later on in middle school and into high school. But so then I found my group there, music, drama type of stuff. But no, I don't know, Joe, probably know this. I'm probably the least competitive person. I really don't. So athletics didn't matter to me because I was like, oh, we lost.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So that didn't mesh well with me, but
It's more the people, right?
yes, the experience is what I was there for. So
Well, we can talk more professionally about some things, but I was thinking about if you didn't care for school and here you're a school administrator, that would be an interesting, conversation. Do you find that, and we'll come back to your personal life, but I just wanted to highlight that for a second because it hit me. Do you find that kind of helps you because there was a time in your life where you didn't really care about school?
Absolutely.
And you probably find maybe a fair amount of kids that don't care about school. Is that true?
Yep, very true.
And does that
at
help you
Heights?
relate to them? Does it help you get into their minds so that you can help them know how to function and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it gives me a perspective of, I get it. School is not always fun. It's difficult at times. It's, so I try and approach it as, I just want to make it not bearable. That's not right. But I want to make it so they know, like, you're only in elementary school right now. There's opportunities for you as you get older. You can find things that you like. You want to be, you want to do more mechanical stuff. There's a place for that. It's just not now, but you'll get there, and just make it so they know this isn't, like I say, it's hard now. It's going to be okay. We try and make it fun. We try and make it engaging. We try to do all those things we can. But yeah, I look at it from that. I remember being that kid of, God, I sit here and I have to listen. I have to do these things. So from that, I try and emphasize that as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because it's important to mix it up.
Yeah. Yeah, because some teachers are just, I think they're locked in because they were such good students. I had teachers like that, and you kind of need that. But on the other hand, it's kind of nice to have somebody that has that other perspective that's able to kind of bring that, if you will, balance into it and perspective. You guys jump in if you, I can keep going with questions.
Like we've talked about, school was a necessary evil to play sports for us.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Well, not for me necessarily, but I'm just saying.
yeah,
for
well,
you guys it was.
you were better at school than I was.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, I wasn't there. I was there for the people to enjoy friends and stuff like that, but also so I could play sports because it was student athlete, and I was hoping it'd be the other way around, athlete student, and just anyway. So that's just.
But in the end, you still learned how to read and write, sort of.
Barely.
And,
Yeah. I'm a meathead for sure. That's my nickname. So it's fair.
It's all right.
It's like I could see that.
Just embrace it.
Yeah.
So now, as you mentioned, where'd you go to college?
UW Stout, which is in Menominee.
Okay, so you kind of stayed fairly close to the area, right?
Yeah, so I guess I did go to UW Platteville for 8 days. And then I was like, I wasn't ready to do that, to be on my own and have to like,
Function.
well, yeah, right. It sounds funny, but honestly, it was like I was there, I did the whole thing, and I just was like, I can't do this right now. So I went back to work at a industrial wire and cable factory for a semester, just so I could figure out what made sense. And I went into my declared major at Platteville was like criminal justice, only because I come from a long line of police officers, and I felt that was what I should do. And so it didn't work out that way, which is okay. But and then working third shift with people who have been there for 35 years, I was like, no way, I can't. So then explored other options, and here we are.
But what happened in your mind that you went from a guy that didn't like school to now I'm going to be on a school schedule for a long time, maybe the rest of my adult life until I retire. I'm going to be on a school schedule and I'm going to be in school. And that seems like a kind of a switch. Was it kind of a major like epiphany kind of thing, or what was it? Just no, I'm starting to like school. And did you right away declare that you wanted to be a school administrator, or just get into education, or what?
Yeah, I mean, so there isn't a definite like time where I thought, okay, now I should do this seriously for school. But I think I was a junior, midway through my junior year, and we were starting to apply for. Was at the end. We started applying for colleges, I believe, and all that. And I just thought, what do you mean this is gonna matter? I knew it did. I just didn't, and it was coming up faster than I thought. So I just figured I should probably apply myself and start to care a little bit. And I did okay. I mean, enough to get admitted into a school, which was what you needed. And then when I got to Stout, I went in, my major was early childhood education. I have a cousin who's a teacher, and so I would, while I was working after I left Platteville, I went into her room to help volunteer, do some things, and was like, well, this is something I could see myself doing. So that's how it started there for me. And then I finished school in 3.5 years, because once I knew I wanted to do this. I took as many credits as possible, and then joined the honors program at Stout, which is funny, just knowing that I didn't care, and now I'm like really caring about it.
Yeah.
And I was able to, get classes before master's level students, just because being in that program, so you can really maximize your time. And so I was able to get out in 3.5 years, which nowadays is pretty unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once I was there and knew what I wanted, I was just driven to do that.
For the last, 4 years, is it? Or 3 years that you've been the principal at Black Earth Elementary?
So 4
years.
Going on 5. This was my 5th year.
Okay, so this is the start of your 5th year.
Yep.
And that was your title. You were the principal of Black Earth Elementary. But now there's a new elementary school.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that in a second. How did you get from college to Wisconsin Heights?
So
go ahead.
Yeah, so college, because I did it in such a short amount of time, 3.5 years. I graduated in December, which is a bad time to graduate with your teaching degree because no one's really hiring anybody.
No.
So subbed for a while, for a semester, and then just kind of job hunted and ended
Where'd you
up.
sub?
What did I sub?
Where did you sub?
Mostly schools around where I lived.
Okay.
In Osceola. Yeah, it was Osceola still. I had to think about that one. But then, so just did a variety of things. I didn't do high school, not interested in that. I did middle school a couple times, not interested in that. But yeah, and then I landed a job kind of last minute, honestly, because what they told me is that because I was a male in early childhood, I would be very highly sought after. The liars. It certainly was not the case, which is fine. But it was funny. I was driving home one day and I got a call from a school, and it was like August 22nd or something like that. And she's like, we had a student enroll. We have to make another section of this school. Like, I want to talk to you. And so I did. And I got it that Friday afternoon, worked. We had new teacher and services that following Monday. So I had about a weekend to figure out how I was going to do that. Not ideal, but it is what it is. And then like I said, I was there teaching kindergarten for 11 years.
Wow.
And just kind of in that time, you start to think, okay, I could do this long term, but I also kind of like this other part. I like the organizing things. I like that other element of education. So then enrolled in a program through Viterbo, and it was more of a kind of weekend. You go on the weekends basically, and during the week you do assignments and all that. So I did that for 2 years, and then there wasn't, in Wisconsin at the time, you had to be experienced before somebody would hire you to be a principal, and it's hard to get experience if no one's going to give it to you, right? It's kind of a tricky thing. So I had a friend who was with me in my principal program, and he had moved out to remote rural Nevada, and he called me up and said, "Are you still looking for a position? Because there's one out here for you if you want it." And I was like, "Okay, we'll see." So I talked to my wife, and our child was 2 at the time. So
You talked with Lily too about it?
Lily, she didn't care much.
Okay.
But so, and we both understood in order to kind of get where we wanted, we had to do this temporarily. So then, I moved out there, and it was the strangest place I've ever been in my life. The place I lived first, it's in between Las Vegas and Reno. So it's a place where people stop and basically fill up their gas tanks, get food, and then continue on their way. My favorite story of it is, just to put in context, like how far things were away. the county itself is Nye County, which is tens of thousands of square miles. And so the district office was 2.5 hours away from me. So like if I needed to go for a meeting, we had to go down the night before and stay. I mean, it was a whole thing.
Pack your bags and everything.
Yep. And that's where we grocery shopped because we didn't have that with us. But my favorite part is going out of town. There's a sign that says, McDonald's just ahead in Hawthorne. And what they don't tell you is Hawthorne is 99 miles away.
Oh, man.
So like if we wanted to, it made me appreciate even being here, where if you need something more than, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
So,
You just buy in bulk then? When you went?
Yeah,
did.
exactly. I was going to say, are they like Sam's Club or something around
but
there?
like I had to go to the dentist and I had to go to California because that was the nearest dentist. So you had to go up over the mountains and
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that was one year, and then I was like, I can't live here. And the district's so big, there's another position open closer to, in the same town as where the district office was, and it was about an hour away from Las Vegas. So, and that's fine. I never wanted to live there, but a lot more to offer. But just knew that wasn't where I wanted to be. I mean, education in Wisconsin is it's valued higher than in other states where, I mean, people don't really care. Not that they don't care, that's not the right word, but they just don't, it's not an emphasis for people. They don't see the value of it that the state does. So that's a good thing. And then, as luck should have it, I interviewed for this position, and I remember I was on an airplane because at that time, if we had to go to a meeting from where we were, if it were in Reno, it's about a 7-hour drive. So it was easier to go down to Las Vegas to hop on a plane to get to. So a lot of unnecessary travel. But I remember sitting on the plane and my phone rang, and it was Jordan Sins, who's our administrator. And I couldn't hear what he was saying. So I was like, I can't hear you. Like, I'll call you when I land. And it was just a funny thing. But I had a Zoom interview or a Skype interview, whatever it was that we used back then. And I was in some lady's office in Las Vegas because we were at a meeting at a school. And I just said, hey, I have to use your office. And so he was sitting in a classroom, and there was a bunch of teachers. I don't know who was there because I could only see him. But got through that interview, and then the second one I came down, and that was with the school board, and then wowed them, I guess. No, it was a good fit actually. It was a fun group. It didn't feel like an interview. It was more of a conversation
fun
basically
meeting.
about stuff. And so I also had an interview in Darlington that same night. I didn't end up there.
Yeah.
Did you just not even show up?
I showed up.
Okay.
I showed up, but I knew I didn't want to do that just because this one went so well. So
I thought maybe you try to leverage that you had. Well, Wisconsin Heights is looking at me, so
so
if you don't give me more money, then
I didn't even think about that. Man,
Gonna try it again.
Jeez.
Manager.
Where were you then,
Manager right there.
Yeah. That's good.
So Scott, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but as a forever resident here, you're part of a kind of historical evolution that's happening this fall, because up until the mid 60s, there was always a high school in Mazo and Black Earth. I went to the mid 60s, early 70s, kindergarten through 8th grade in the Mazo building, and then they had kindergarten through 8th grade in Black Earth. Then they built the middle school out there, and they had middle school and high school out there. These guys went kindergarten basically to 5th grade. Then over the last, I don't know how many years, there's been K through 2 at Black Earth and 3 through 5 at Mazo. Now everybody's going to be out in one location for the first time in 150 years.
Yeah.
And so you are the principal of
You're the
the
unifier.
new elementary, Wisconsin Heights Elementary School.
oh, that's weird. That's just weird to hear that.
Because it
said
used to
that
be
way.
Mazo High School and Mazo K through 12, Black Earth K through 12, Mazo K through 8. I won't go through it all.
You're right.
And so now all of a sudden, you're part of this 150-year history as the first. Did you know that? I mean, is that all?
Yeah.
That hasn't lost on you?
No,
Okay.
It's become very clear. I mean, just in this last year, honestly, because we've had closing ceremonies, we've had all these things, and I didn't realize all of that until this year. But it's clear people are very prideful of that history, and I don't. It's a weird position to be in because I don't want to mess it up, but yet it'll be fine. I won't mess it up. I'm just, you know what I mean? Though, like I don't want to be the person that just all this history and now it's just gone. But no, it's wild. Just
Aren't you probably trying to find the happy medium between we've got to move on, but there's also history in the past. So how much of it do you collect, and how much of it do you just kind of say we need to kind of keep going?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky.
But yet you're an outsider, so it's like, is this important or is this not important? And
yeah, no, there's a lot of that, and but you know, we had a lot of people come through our closing ceremony, for example, that were very much they kind of identified some things that they thought we should give to the historical society. So fantastic, we were able to do that. And we'll take over some things to the new school, just to have as kind of artifacts of what we used to have, because to these kids that are coming up, it's kind of funny to think that it won't matter to them one bit. It's just where they've always been. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, if you talk to some of the old timers, they'll be able to say, I was the first graduating class of Wisconsin Heights. I was the first, kindergarten was my first year that Wisconsin Heights was a district.
Really?
And I was 2 years away from going to a one-room schoolhouse out in Halfway Prairie. So you can see that there's kind of an evolution here. And so people get connected. Both villages are connected to their schools. And so whatever, I think it might actually be good that we have somebody that's not connected to one school or the other.
Because there used to be quite the rivalry between Mazo and Black Earth when they had their own high schools and stuff like that. So like you said, there's going to be a generation here soon where they've been at Heights Elementary, and that's never been, it's kind of been not so much with like us anymore, but like for you and stuff, there was Black Earth versus Mazo, and it was...
Yeah, it was a big
deal.
deal.
Went to school together, and it was like, well, we beat up on each other in elementary school and stuff. So anyway,
we'll have none of that.
Tell us about like your role. I mean, now all of a sudden you're going to have a little bit more of an expanded role. You're going to have 3 more grades. Yep. And maybe we can talk about some of the benefits of. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the drawbacks.
Yep.
We'll leave those go, but talk about the benefits of having everybody under one roof.
Sure. I mean, from a teacher standpoint, it's helpful because, you know, for a while we had shared staff. So art, music, Fayed, guidance counselor, for a while, Dale Green. I mean, he was doing both. You know, you start your day, half of it's here, then you got to transition, half of it's over here. While it's not a huge deal, I mean, logistically can be kind of a pain, I suppose, but having those folks there all day will be helpful for scheduling. It'll be helpful for some supervisory stuff if we need. But, you know, honestly, the biggest benefit to me, and I tell people that all the time, I'm excited mostly about the fact that, you know, if we have kids at elementary who are struggling with whatever, you know, is there somebody at the middle high school who we can buddy them up with? Because many times, like, we can tell them as much as we want as teachers and adults and staff members, but if an older kid, high schooler, tells them something and they can make a relationship and they can, you know, look up to this person, perhaps that's a bigger impact than we could ever provide. So I'm honestly excited about that there's peer mentorship opportunities here that we just didn't have before because it logistically didn't work out. So to me, that's huge. You know, we're just through a set of doors. There's more to it than that. I don't want to scare people to think that elementary kids are going to be dashing around the high school, but it can be as simple as that. Sure. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the biggest. I just can't even wait for that. Curriculum wise, I mean, if we have kids who are kind of advancing a topic, like why can't they go and learn some more from this grade and all that too? I mean, there's benefits in there too. Yeah.
Instead of having to ship them over to Mesa or Black Earth or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a third grader who's like math whiz, well, why don't you sit in fourth grade math and see if that's, if that's where you're at, then we can provide that for you.
Yeah.
So opportunities for there that are very exciting,
I know as a kid I would have benefited a great deal because I was almost genius.
Yeah.
And so I would have gone to second grade to like seventh or eighth grade. Kidding, of course.
You would have gone seventh
he
to
couldn't talk.
second
I would have gone
grade.
seventh.
To second grade. Yeah.
He's
He's being
That's what I was gonna
sarcastic. He
say.
couldn't talk till he was 4 years old.
Yeah.
But that's okay, and I'm sure your first words were just eloquent, sentences.
But on a serious note, back when you were in Nevada, you had to travel 2.5 hours to the district office.
Correct.
Now you just go 100 yards
Yeah,
and you're in the district
It
office.
took me 2 minutes today to walk from the district office to open the door for somebody on the other side of the new building. I was like, this is pretty great.
Yeah.
You arrived.
Yeah. True.
I don't know if there's other benefits we could talk about those. I mean, there's maybe some transportation benefits. You're not going all over here in Yon, but I don't know. What do we got left
We
here?
got about 3 minutes left, but we could stop and we can keep going if you
If
want
you can
to.
stay for just a few more
for
minutes.
sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we can do that. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Scott. And did we want to talk about how Joe knows him? Because we kind of talked about that, and Joe's just been sitting there.
It's true.
And people have been wondering, why is Joe
Dying
here?
to know. Why is Joe? Why
I
is
still
Joe
don't know
here?
why Joe's here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead,
How
Joe.
did
Why are you
find
here?
such a cool person to
Yeah,
hang out
sure.
with? So I applied for a part-time job at the school for an educational assistant like 3 years ago, something like that.
It was middle of the year, wasn't it?
Yep. When you guys were almost ready to shut down the school because you just needed somebody so badly.
Yeah. Yep.
So I stepped in.
Joe Schmo came.
Kept the doors open.
I kept the doors open.
Without him,
and,
I'm telling you.
yeah. And anyway, so I worked under Scott for 3 years.
He has great stories
What?
too.
I think it was
It
3
can't
years.
have been 3
Well,
years.
it was like 2 years and a half, I think, or something like that.
Probably. I don't even know.
Time flies when you're having
It
fun.
really does.
That's either because it's such a delightful thing or repressed memory syndrome. It's one or the other
No, it
for
was
Joe.
great. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, he has great stories about things that you guys
yeah.
are able to talk about and some fun things. Kids are great at that age.
Oh,
They're
they're
just
fun. They're fun, but
hilarious. Yeah.
There's some drawbacks, but that's
Yeah.
all right.
man, there's a few.
So you're a teacher's assistant,
Yep.
educational assistant.
Yep.
Is that what it is? Okay.
yes.
Yep.
And it's fun having Joe in the school district because we take walks and it's, hey, Mr. Barsness, and I'll turn around and they're talking to Joe. And they're his little buddies.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So tell us, Scott, as we kind of close this part of the interview out, what's like the toughest thing about being a school principal at your level, and what do you like the best? What are kind of the rewards?
The toughest part, honestly, is truly just keeping up with the day-to-day stuff. Like, I have to make sure everything's covered, which isn't that difficult to do. But if not, well, then I have to reshuffle my deck and where can I help and where, just to keep all that in line. There's teacher evals that have to happen, all these things that just go on throughout the year. Inevitably, there's a bus thing that you have to. So it's just, I try not to schedule my days at all beyond what is essential if I have a meeting or something, but I try to remain as open as I can because, like I said, inevitably something's going to come up. It's getting easier, though, as the years progress. Now let's throw 9 more teachers in the mix. And so it's obviously going to get more, but that's okay. It's just, I know going in that, that's been the hardest part, but it's manageable. Just
Lots of moving parts.
it
there
is.
are.
It is. Yeah. You don't think about it, but
Yeah.
there really are.
Yeah.
The opposite of that, the best part is in my role, I enjoy obviously interacting with kids. I try as much as I can to be there, to be outside, to be in the morning just to do those things because, when I was younger, I remember a principal was someone who you didn't really want to see. It was if I had to go see her, it was not great ever, but now it's not. I'm trying to shift that to where, there's going to be problems. We're going to work through it, but that's hopefully not always the first thing people associate now. But so I do try to build relationships with kids from day one. The good news this year, I'm excited because I'll know all the kids minus the preschoolers because they haven't started yet. But, the kids who are now in 5th grade, they were a Black Earth when I started. So I will have at least a vague recollection of who they are because they've been away for a while. But, so that's good. I'm excited about that. I don't have to really learn that many more names. And that's always good. Other part, obviously, watching teachers teach is always fun. I mean, it really is. While they may be teaching the content that's similar, it's the way they do it that's so different. And that's what I like to see. I like to see how, these 1st grade teachers, there's 3 of them, how differently they'll approach a math topic. And that's it's the best part, to see how they work through that. And getting to work with kids and teachers is the best part, honestly, for me.
Well, I don't want to embarrass you, but Joe says that the district is lucky to have you as a principal. So we're
He's
glad.
just saying that. But.
No, he isn't. I
Just
know he
on the
isn't.
podcast.
Actually, Joe Bob did say, he said they're lucky to have us. So I don't know if that's.
There you go. See,
That's when I substitute.
He said us, not just sorry.
That's
So-
not what I said.
No, he didn't say that. I just
2 things when we told people we hired Joe Barsness, they were like, "Who?" As if you lied, right? I went here. People, they had no idea who we were talking about. And then I think Joyce Rulin said, "Oh, Joe Bob," and I was like, "Nope, his name is Joe Bar." So when you said that, it just made me like, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because there's another Joe. There's another Joe Barsness, which I don't know if they would be somebody that you might want to hire,
Well,
at least at that point. or
maybe,
whatever.
but regardless. And then I remember Joe's first day very well because he was outside at recess, and typically in elementary schools, recess duty, Joe went out and just started running around. And I remember, you probably don't know this, the kids were it was like a fast conga line of kids and it went on. And I remember the teachers were like, he can't sustain this. There's no way. It just was so funny because that's not how it typically is, having somebody who's just going to lead the charge. So we were very appreciative and still are when you come in and sub occasionally, but because he just jumps in and, kids know him very well, as you said, and they do enjoy it because he'll throw footballs with them. He'll shoot hoops with them, where that usually doesn't happen with the staff that's outside. They're there to supervise, and he's there to have fun and entertain. He's only
wear
hit
him
a
out.
He's a gym teacher.
He's there to wear them out.
He's only hit a couple kids with playground balls. So
Yeah.
He's the one teacher that takes it too seriously.
well, he
and
always
hits
comes in and
kids
he's like, "Hey, somebody got hit today with a football, and it's okay. They're fine. But just so you know,
I bring them in. I bring them in with me, and I get them an ice pack.
Supply him a first
Timmy's
aid
out there
kit, a
bleeding.
stretcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not a put on. I mean, that's Joe. I mean, he just likes kids, when he's not at school. We have friends over and they have little kids, that's just where he's at,
Absolutely.
getting games ready and stuff like that. So that's kind of his personality.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's how he is.
Yeah.
My child enjoys Mr. B a ton. So,
Mr. B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. B.
So maybe as we wrap things up here, we do with our guests, would you rather, a couple of them. So I picked out a couple, and do the best you can, Scott. Joe, you can answer. Hudson, I'll answer mine. So we'll give whoever wants to jump in, if you want to take a second to think about it. Would you rather skydive or bungee jump? Would you rather skydive or bungee jump? First question before you even answer that. I know none of you guys have others either dived. Is that right?
Dovin?
Dovin?
I don't know.
Sky dove?
Doved?
Yep.
I don't know. We need an English. Or bungee jumped. Have you ever done either one?
No.
Okay. If you had your choice, like you were forced, what would you do? Or Joe or Hudson?
You need time to think.
I think I would skydive.
Why? Just tell us why.
I don't know. It just of the two, the idea of being slung back up by your feet doesn't seem that appealing to me.
Bungee jumping, you typically do alone, where I think skydiving, you can have an assistant.
Didn't think about that. That's a good point.
That's what I was going to ask. If that's
That assistant has like 5 different
pull cords,
Yeah, they
rip
just-
cords.
cords.
Yeah.
They're
because
professionals.
Yeah.
because I mean that seems almost more like a carnival ride, the bungee jumping.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Where you could have
Right.
just somebody that's just
The guy
like,
who's
go ahead,
operating it with
jump,
one
and
arm.
then they do those dirty tricks where they throw a rope out, like, oh, it cut. It's like, that's not funny.
No, you're right.
It's just
That's
not funny.
That's bad.
I mean, I don't care if you enjoy it. That's just not funny.
But with a bungee jump, it's usually on your leg. So if it does break, you're hitting your head. So you're dead right away. With a skydive, you
Well, we
might
went
hit
deep,
your
we went
legs. What if
dark.
you hit a tree?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
These are things you have to think about.
Yes, I still think you go.
I probably would too.
Skydiving.
Skydiving,
because-
you go skydiving?
Because there might be multiple
Yep.
people with parachutes that actually work if yours doesn't. I agree.
3 steps up on a step ladder is too high for me. I do not like heights. But I would rather skydive, even though it's a lot higher, than bungee jump. Because being in an airplane, I'm not afraid of being in an airplane because it's so unrealistic. You're so high that you can't even, I don't think you can fathom. But again, who's the guy that tied me in? That's what I want to know.
He's
I mean,
got
at least
one
with
arm.
a pilot,
Yeah,
you
he's
should.
sitting there. That
Yeah.
looks right.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, we all agree on skydiving.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. The second one, what would you rather always wear? Clothes that were slightly too tight or slightly too big? Too tight clothes always. You have to always wear them. Slightly too big, slightly too tight.
I'm going too big.
I'd have to agree with you.
What would be the
I mean,
drawback
like,
of being
too
too
tight.
big?
Like that's I have
Nothing.
to think because like if it's too tight, like shirt, is it like
Crop
showing
top.
off? Yeah, like that. If it's
That would
like
be
okay,
uncomfortable, wouldn't it?
that's
But
too
for
tight for
who?
me.
It'd be
But I'm saying,
uncomfortable
like,
for a
if
lot
it's-
of people.
If it's just like too just a little bit,
Yeah, good point.
But like baggy pants or something, you're always having to pull them up. I think you're still gonna have to do a lot of work, so I would probably go too
Well, if you're
tight.
doing sports, you'd rather probably have tighter
Sure.
clothes. But
Yeah.
if you're
Just living
around
life.
people,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd go baggy because at least it's comfortable.
Yeah.
You can sit down and get your parachute pants on. And
What about you, Scott? You
Yeah.
feel that way?
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. So your pants are too big. Then you put a belt on. I mean,
Yeah.
they're solved.
Yeah.
You can solve
Okay,
that.
all right.
It's
I just didn't know if that was
it's
an
too big of a
option.
If
belt
it's too
too.
tight, well, there's not much you can do with that,
It's true.
right?
Yeah, I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah,
You
I
can-
think
you could also put your baggy
I've been
clothes in the
baggy.
washer.
Your answer can't change.
Yeah.
No, you're locked in.
Okay, I'm too tight.
Yeah.
What about you?
If mine are too tight, I think I would be uncomfortable and people looking at me would be uncomfortable. I think they'd be more comfortable with me and a little bit more.
So there's that.
Loosey-goosey
you
clothes.
wouldn't have too tight of clothes then because somebody would get you
Yeah, exactly. Someone
some
would go
looser
out and
fitting
buy it.
clothes
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for stopping by, taking
thank
time.
you.
This is a busy time of year for you, and you carved out a little time, and this will be airing prior to the school year beginning. So good luck. Whatever else you say, break a leg. No.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not sure what you say,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hold on,
thank you
hold
very
on.
much.
Seeing you around.
Hold on.
I think it's
Yeah. Hold on for dear
yeah.
life.
Hold on tight.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, and plus you're going to be getting an award at the
Am I?
next in service.
For
5 years.
No.
You'll get one of those.
well, you would think that, but I'm not.
What? They told you that?
Well, I saw the presentation,
Oh.
so I don't think my name's on it.
So do you have to go to it then too?
I think I should write my name in. Yeah,
That'd be
All
pretty
right,
easy.
in
5
Yeah.
years. 5 years started. Maybe you have to complete 5 years.
Would you give would
Yeah,
you give
that's probably it
the
is.
plaque to yourself? Like,
Oh.
would you be handing them
Yeah.
out and you'd be like,
No, 'cause
oh,
are you having it separate from the other staff?
No, it's all district, but
Yeah.
like, I think next year will be 5 because it's 5 full years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to complete
semantics, really.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
No.
Sort of.
Not
Something
my
about
deal.
like 35 years, 36 years. Ugh,
I know. Heavens.
yeah, it's just wrong.
all right. Well, there you have it. Thanks again, Scott,
You bet.
for coming, and Joe, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
So we'll end with that. Are you dying to see more content like that? Check out the video over here, or subscribe over here. Thanks.